Hello everyone and welcome back to Hey Dad RC. Today we are preparing to bring you week 8 of the summer series, and today's race will feature the first of, I believe, 2 mixed class races. And taking a look at the trucks laid out before us, we see that today is going to be a run of solid axle monster trucks. On the left is going to be one from the kit division, on the right one from the ready to run division. Doing it that way because that's just how they match up. Like I said, the first of, I think, 2 mixed class races this year. A brief history of each truck as I have owned them. On the left, really no introduction needed, the Tamiya Clodbuster. This truck, one of the most iconic RCs out there. It was one of the first in the solid axle market. I mean, this truck came out many years ago when I was a kid, and it was one of the originators, along with like the Mirai Big Bear and Kyosho solid axle platform as well. And on the right, we have Redcat's Ground Pounder. For the Clodbuster on the left, I've had this truck, I think, for a little over a year. I've only run it once. I got it in a trade with my good friend Dave, and he built this truck, only ran it a couple of times himself, so this truck has very little runtime. And this truck is all stock. I'm not sure if this truck has ball bearings or bushings. Dave, when you watch this, feel free to let me know in the comments, because off the top of my head, I don't know. Other than that though, this truck sits on 8 friction shocks. It has dual motors and 4-wheel steering, and at some point I really would like to upgrade the steering on this to get better steering. It's 1 servo turning all 4 of these huge tires, and the tires themselves are Chevron type patterns, no foam in the tires, and I think that's about it for the Clodbuster. On the right for the Ground Pounder, I've had this since last winter. I've only got a few runs on it thus far, and this truck will be all stock as well. I did order a few months back, or a couple months back, hub extenders for the wheels. I wanted to widen it out just a bit because on full lock steering on the front, the wheels have a tendency to rub on that link that rests down there, but I ordered the wrong one, so we're just going to run it as it is today. But because the Clodbuster is full-time 4-wheel steer, we're going to run the 4-wheel steering mode on the Ground Pounder as well to try and keep things as even as possible. And as a side note, back during Amazon Prime Days a couple of weeks ago, I did pick up a second item, and I was just cruising around on Amazon looking for nothing in particular, and these stuck out to me. I picked up 2. They're Gartpot LiPo batteries, 4,000 milliamp hour, 50C 2S cells. I got 2 of these for $34. I have looked for batteries this style in the past and always seem to have a problem finding them. They popped up, 34 bucks for 2 of them seemed to be a pretty good deal to me. And both of these trucks are going to act as the test models for these batteries. This is the first charge that I've got into them. They balance charged just fine. The other one is already hooked up into the Clodbuster. It's a nice perfect fit, but I picked these batteries up because, as you can see, it is that Tamiya type battery, and I wanted LiPos like this to be able to run in my Tamiyas when I felt like it. So these are going to be in both trucks. We're going to see how they do now, and I'm only using them in this because this is a mixed class race today. When I'm doing kit versus kit with the Tamiyas as the season progresses, I'm going to keep it with the nickel metal batteries, at least for this season. But this is going to be the matchup for today at Windy Hill Raceway. Which one do you guys think is going to win? I'm hoping that it is a close matchup, but I think right now, looking at these 2, I think I'm going to have to go with the Ground Pounder. The 4-wheel steering is just a little bit better than the Clodbuster, so that's the one I'm going to go with. Which one do you guys think is going to win? Keep watching. We're about to find out. Week 8 weather and track condition report from Windy Hill Raceway. It is a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Temperature in the mid to upper 70s, partly cloudy skies as we see, and as usual, always a breeze here at Windy Hill Raceway. As far as the track itself, we've made some revisions this week. We continue working on it a little bit here and there, trying to make it a better track and more enjoyable for you, the viewers. As you can see, we got some work done getting some grass cleared out and getting that banked berm a little bit higher. Shouldn't make much of a difference for today's vehicles, given their slower speeds, but like we said, hopefully it will lead to a much more interesting affair for you guys to watch. And now a word from today's race sponsor. Attention, not real victims. Were you injured in a fall or an accident that was completely your own fault? Do you want somebody that's not at fault at all to pay for your exorbitant medical costs? We will chase the ambulance all the way to the bank. Your very first call should be to Dewey, Cheatham & Howe Law Offices. We here at Dewey, Cheatham & Howe feel that it doesn't matter whatsoever that if your slip or fall was completely your own fault. So what if you didn't see that wet floor sign? Or men working with a big hole in the ground? It doesn't matter. We will get you all the money that you rightfully do not deserve. And with just over 6 months experience practicing law, Dewey, Cheatham & Howe will fight for every dollar that you don't deserve. And if you don't win, don't worry, you still have to pay us big time. Remember, folks, that no matter what, you are a victim. Don't hesitate. Call Dewey, Cheatham & Howe at 1-800-BIG-SCAM. That's 1-800-BIG-SCAM. We'll get you the money you don't deserve. Post-race thoughts on the Tamiya Clodbuster. Well, it kind of drove like a Clodbuster. To me, that's part of the charm of a lot of these Tamiyas is the wonky driving physics and, a lot of slop present in these vehicles. Yes, I can dump a bunch of money into this to get it to drive a lot better, a lot tighter, but I don't think I want to. Like I said, I may upgrade the steering. I may make it a touch faster at some point, but at the same time, I might leave this truck as is. It's just a lot of fun to drive. As far as driving it on the track, I had to be very careful with the throttle response. There weren't a whole lot of times that I actually hammered down full tilt on the throttle. You had to kind of feather the throttle and the steering together to try and run the best laps possible. But with that being said, this truck was still a whole lot of fun. For the Redcat Ground Pounder, number one, I started off by dialing back on the dual rates a little bit with the steering just to try and make it more competitive against a Clodbuster. Overall, I don't think this truck is as fast as a Clodbuster. More often than not, on the outer rim of the track on the grass, I was hammered down full throttle, and it just didn't seem as fast to me as a Clodbuster. But with that being said, especially the dirt infield area, I think it handled it a bit better. The steering was still a bit tighter, and the tires on this one a little bit smaller than the Clodbuster and less pneumatic than the Clod. I think that lent it to better handling in this loose dirt as we see it ripping through here. Will there be any upgrades on the Ground Pounder in the future? Possibly. Maybe a bit of a faster motor, maybe not. It's pretty fun just the way that it is. Here is a look at the race results. For the Clodbuster, it finished with a fastest lap of 14.41 seconds and an average lap time of 15.02. For the Ground Pounder, fast lap of 13.08 with an average of 14.05 seconds. So taking a look at the divisional leaderboards, we see that the Ground Pounder, with its run, does not reside in the cellar. It bumps the Axe down to 9th and right now last place in the Ready to Run division. And in the kit division, we see the Clodbuster at 14.41. Actually, underneath the Lunchbox, that one a bit of a surprise to me. I figured that the Clodbuster would pull a better time than the Lunchbox, but obviously that is not the case. And taking a look at this leaderboard, I'm still surprised that the Arma Raider still sits atop the Ready to Run division, and not much of a surprise that the Javelin and Saint Dragon with sub 10-second fastest lap times lead the kit division. And look ahead at the race schedule. Number one, we see we are past the halfway point. That's right. What you're seeing there is the rest of the schedule for the regular season. And next week, we go back to the kit division. It'll feature 2 vehicles not yet seen or run on the channel. That race upcoming will be my first time driving either one. We're talking about the Tamiya DT02 Nissan Titan. It's going to go up against the Holiday Buggy. And a look further down, we see we've got another mixed class race coming up. We've got the Blackfoot will go against Midnight Pumpkin. Earlier in the season, the Pumpkin beat out the Lunchbox, so we figure that is going to be the competitor to go against the Blackfoot. And really looking forward myself to those last 2 races of the season. But guys, that is going to do it for this week's race session. As always, thanks for taking some time out of your day to watch my videos. And until next race day, stay safe, keep all 4 tires on the ground.